fighting radio pablum in the No Guts Washington radio market. We're WEBR, Fairfax's cable access radio station.
Peace, peace. This is DJ OHLOW. You tune into On Beat with OHLOW, coming to you live from WEBR Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. I got a pretty interesting show today, man. We're going to be talking about respect. The reason we're talking about respect is because the last show that we had, we were talking about the February and Black History Month, or as we were saying, African History Month. It's not about being black. Let me just start out with some of the guests we have. Right now we have El Better to my left.
Peace, peace.
Peace, what's going on, fam? We got my man Theory in front of me here.
He's Fairfax, back in at it. How y'all doing today?
We got my big brother, Noik the Grizzly Bear. I don't want Theory to get mad at me today,
What's up
man.
with y'all? How y'all doing?
Peace, fam.
All right, what's up with you, brother?
Chilling, man. And then we also have CC Vibes.
How you doing, Ola?
Miss CC Vibes. And we're going to be talking to you about something very important.
Yes.
Out of respect as well. Later in the show, we're going to show some respect to our elders, man. KPJ, Kevin Peter Jones, is bringing one of his students, actually. She is a drummer. She's a 70-year-old drummer. And we're going to be talking to her and get her view on music and, talk to her about her time and her generation. You know how we always talk about it's a generational thing. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk to her about that. And then we're also going to have a review by my man Theory. Something new, man. A little review. What's the product called again?
It's the Alesis Vortex Keytar.
Brand new joint.
Brand new piece. Yeah, just released at the recent NAMM show of 2014.
Yeah.
It's a nice controller, got a great deal on it. We thought we'd just share a little love, a little description of it, see how it could be creative for you.
That's what it is, man. Shouts out to Usin State of Mind on the cameras right now.
Young Scorsese.
Ooh, syndication.
I'm gonna take
Scorsese.
a quick break, man. We'll be right back. This is On Beat. Peace.
Keeping the First Amendment alive. We are WEBR, Fairfax County's cable access and internet radio station.
Peace, peace. Almost didn't come in, man, because I got me stuck on this beat, man. All beats provided by Theory.
Yeah, that's how I get down, man. A little love on this joint. No samples here.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
So we rock on. Put your soul into it a little bit.
So today we're talking about respect and what it means to you. The reason I want to talk about that, man, is because, when I really broke down the show, I got to watch the show, last week's show about African American History Month. And I got to watch it and just listen to everybody talk. And I got to really break it down. And like you were saying, like Better was saying, man, it's not, it's first of all, in my opinion, you're right, man. It shouldn't be called Black History Month, man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really
it's American history.
Of the Americas. Yeah, exactly.
It should just be American. Anytime you label it something separate from what it actually is, you're dividing yourself. You're keeping yourself from that. You're alienating yourself from the masses. Because there's no White History Month. But we got Black History Month. We got African History Month. Like, even with, and I respect the African History Month, but still, it's not African history. It's American history.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said African American history.
I think the reason they want to give the time and possibly highlight it is because when it gets folded into all of American history, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And so unless you single it out and say, hey, look, we want to celebrate this period as a part of American history and put a spotlight on it. Maybe that's the intent. That's what I'm thinking.
Like I said it on the last show, man. It's like, I think Better was the one that said it. I don't know who said it, but they were like, yo, it's just throwing a dog a bone for real, man. You know what I'm saying? Cause
I think that was Scene's comment. But yeah,
right. And because like you said, like why? What's the reason? I get it. I get it now because so much of the history has been erased, and I get that.
Like
right?
I said, and if you include it, it just folds in and just disappears.
Yeah.
With so many stories of how America came to be what it is, the peoples. Irish, Asian, African, so many different nations came, died, blood spilled to build. And without any isolation. There's no Irish American appreciation.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, there you go. In the community.
You got holidays.
Yeah, and they party hard for those hard times.
Everybody wear green.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, taught you that in school. If you don't wear green, you get pinched, right?
That's right.
All right, but look, so let's talk about respect now, man. You know, out of respect for all of us being American by nationality, right? You know,
we were born here.
Yeah, exactly. The month, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that a respectful thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, now that we got down to how it came to be, we know how it came to be. It's only 35 years old. We know where it is today. It's a commercial thing. You know what I'm saying? All these major corporations jump on it. Can you take that beat back for us, please? Or whatever. I mean, you can play that one too, man. But I'm feeling this one right here.
Right, let it ride. I mean, it's perfect for the topic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what I mean? But, you know, is it now? I mean, now it's like a commercial thing. So is that disrespectful?
I think it depends on how it's perceived and how it's taught. I think it's kind of messed up that, you know, we still have to fill out census reports. So not even census reports, even if you go to fill out a job application, you have to identify your color. You can't, and it's not even like you're identifying your nationality. You know, we were all born here, so we should be Americans.
Yeah.
But why you have to check Negro, Black, African American, you know, and all that. So if something like that was eradicated and we all were considered Americans inside of America, then I would feel like it's not as disrespectful as I feel it is now. Now, with that being said, the awareness, I appreciate the awareness of it. A lot of times throughout the year, nobody's paying any mind to it. And this month brings attention to, for lack of a better definition, Black history. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm gonna say American history, but when I say American history, I'm talking about the history of the people of color that are here in the Americas. So, you know, if that was taken out the picture where you didn't have to fill out whether you were Black American or Negro or whatever, and then we had Black History Month, then yeah, it would be cool. But being that we are still labeled as something other than America, other than American in America, I feel like it's a little disrespectful.
Theory.
Hey, he's got a great point. I think playing devil's advocate, not that I have a counter argument, maybe it's perceived in, you know, it being provided as, like I said, a highlight of a time that people should know about, not forget, you know, don't forget past sins so as not to relive them. Maybe that's the intent. But you know,
like I said, I'm with the awareness.
We're stuck with it.
Yeah. But I just got a problem with the labels and the identity of it, and you know the way they perceive it.
It's just the way that, you know, the technology moves and the way society moves. You know, we've got to. They want us to check those boxes. It's all to the you know, to the mechanism of society and keeping track of who's living where, how you're spending your time, and how you're spending your money. It all folds right back into that, the whole request for it seems to me, you know.
Well, who's spending money on Black History Month?
Yeah.
Are white people spending money on Black History Month? The Grizzly. Let me hear what you got to say.
They probably spending more money than blacks.
Why you say that though?
Because we as a community have stopped teaching our children what they need to know at home. We've been relying on the outside sources of information to teach our children, as opposed to us teaching our children what it is. And that's coming from a brother with no kids.
I feel you, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just know, like, it goes back to the village no longer raises the child. We as a community are not putting back into the community the things that help the community become what it is. If you don't know your past, you know what I'm saying, you can't see your future. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. No,
so
that's true,
where you came from, we are not doing that. So once we start doing that again, you might just start with you and your family. You know what I'm saying? But once you start doing it, it'll catch fire. It's the pay it forward effect. It's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna take that up and pass it to somebody else.
True.
So that's what it boils down to. Like, we have to teach from the inside of the household.
And that's how I carry it in my house. You know what I mean? Because my kids is hip and they know where they came from, and you know they know about their ancestors. Like my little girl, when she was in maybe 2nd or 3rd grade, she wrote up a paper on her great grandfather, Levi G. Bird, who was the founder of the NAACP in South Carolina. And she's getting ready to do another paper. Now she's 6th grade now, and I think she's getting ready to do another one. And she's revisiting, because you know that was like 3rd grade. She don't remember that. You know what I'm saying? But I still got up on the refrigerator just to keep, you know. So she will, you know, have some identity of it since she happens to might look at it or whatever. So, you know, it does start at home, and you have to teach at home. But at the same time, I like what the sister said at the last show when she was like, you know, Black history is every day for Black people. Anytime one of us is born, that's Black history. So, the whole celebration of the month shouldn't so much be something for us because we live it on a day-to-day basis, but I think it's something that should be for other people to get an identity of who we are, who are not us. And, so I think, like, it's a seesaw, it kind of goes both ways. It goes up and it goes down. You got to find the good and the bad in it. At the end of the day, awareness is always good.
I was talking to somebody about that show as well, and they brought up a good thing, and they said, thanks to sites like Wikipedia, now people can make their own history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Black History Month in the future may be exactly what we all want it to be today. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll be regulated by us, the people who are making history right now. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's true, man. Because like we were talking about before, the stuff that we were taught back in the 90s in school in the 80s and 90s, they don't teach today. I mean, obviously they know better now than to teach the same stuff, but a lot of that stuff hasn't changed. George Washington Carver is one that always comes up. That's what we always talk about.
Right.
But anyways, man, I'm gonna take a break because KPJ's here. I want to get back into respect, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to get away from Black History Month. I just wanted to wrap that up a little bit. I want to get back into the respect part of it. And like I said, we're gonna pay respect to one of our elders, and he's about to bring her in right now. Song Beat with OHLOW. All beats provided by Theory. We'll be right back. Peace.
Fighting Radio Pablum in the No Guts Washington radio market. We're WEBR, Fairfax's cable access radio station.
Peace. This is DJ OHLOW coming to you live from Radio Fairfax. That's WEBR Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. Kevin Peter Jones just stepped in. Today we're talking about respect, and I wanted to show respect to one of your students, actually. Yeah, let us know, man.
Yes, thank you, DJ. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. To my right, I have here DJ, the jazz drummer, Dixie Malquist. She's awesome. She's one of my students, DJ. She's been with me almost 3 years, 2.5 years. So she's been taking lessons from me, and from no drums to no drums, no lessons, nothing. Now, today, she can play. And what I want to do here today is talk about the old school jazz. We're talking back to 30s, right, DJ?
No, goes back to the 20s.
Go back to the 20s.
And
so
before that.
Okay, see, she's she got it. So she's back. So tell us a little bit, DJ, about the music and of the 20s and the 30s. What is that all about? Tell us about that.
Well, let me go back a bit further than that.
Yeah, just stay on that. Stay close to that mic for us.
As you all know, jazz had its beginnings in the African American community in New Orleans.
Okay.
And the first noted jazz figure goes back to about 1895. And he was a trumpeter named Buddy Bolden. Have any of you heard of him?
I have, yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, to the best of my knowledge, there are no recordings of Buddy Bolden today because the technology was non-existent at that time. But after Buddy Bolden, there were other groups that followed, and jazz spread beyond New Orleans. One of the centers was the Midwest, particularly Chicago, and then it spread to the West Coast, the East Coast. And
as well as Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it did.
Right.
It did.
Can I ask a question, DJ?
KPJ.
Okay. Well, Quincy Jones, DJ, you know who that is, right?
I beg your pardon?
Quincy Jones, you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay. So Quincy Jones, he's a producer. He produced Michael Jackson, Thriller, and many different other bands. So he says, if it wasn't for jazz, DJ OHLOW, if it wasn't for jazz, there'd be no rock, there'd be no rap and all that stuff. He says that. That's Quincy Jones. What do you think about that, DJ?
Good question. Yep.
It's probably true. Probably true.
How important is jazz music to today, do you think?
It underlies just about every other type of music except perhaps classical.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I believe that 100%. I mean, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but that's, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I'm probably a baby, to you. But growing up in the 80s and 90s, I saw a lot of jazz influence in all genres of music at that time.
Yeah, the jazz influence was real big in the 90s.
Yeah.
Especially like even when Miles Davis did the doo-bop sound.
Yeah, exactly.
He like merged the whole hip-hop and, jazz theme. And that's like around the time when I really started getting, because jazz has always been my favorite music.
Yeah.
And I was getting the Coltrane around that time. And I would find those records in my grandparents' crates and put that vinyl on and just jazz out to it. But I think it is, jazz is a big influence in every genre of music, jazz and blues, both.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So that's
as far as the music today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know about today, because today everything's electronic. And I wanted to ask you about today's music. I want to know if you listen to, I guess today they call it jazz fusion, but it's like electronic jazz. And what do you think about that? Digital jazz.
Well, what I basically listen to in terms of digital jazz is music from the 20s, 30s, and 40s that has been digitalized.
Oh, that has been remastered.
Yes.
Okay. But that was originally when it was first recorded, it was all analog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's made such a difference.
So that show Boardwalk Empire on HBO.
Oh, okay.
That's the music that you like of that era, is that right?
Yeah, that goes back to the early 20s. That's the beginning of what we think of as the jazz age. And let me mention something. The first real jazz band that was recorded was the original Dixieland Jazz Band, led by Nick LaRocca.
Okay.
And the first recording that we know of that was made with a full jazz band. And by the way, they spelled jazz, Jass, back then, not with a ZZ. And it was Livery Stable Blues in 1917. And then, territorial bands sprang up. And as
and that was around the same time.
Yeah, and throughout the 20s, once you got away from sort of the ragtime era.
Yeah, exactly.
The ragtime was during the early teens.
What are some of the great drummers that you know about from the past? Great drummers. I'm a drummer and I've taught you all these things, but what about the great drummers? Name some of those guys.
Well, how far back do you want me to go?
Go ahead. Who's your drummers?
Well, hold on. Before you get into your favorite drummer, I want to know your favorite era of music.
Well, I love the 20s. I love the 40s. Anything beyond 1940, I'm not much into.
Okay, and why is that?
Well, I just think the period between World War I up to about the Korean War, it was so rich. There was so much emerging, so much creativity that was going on. And it was just America's golden era of music.
Okay.
And another thing that a lot of people don't realize, jazz is the one true art form that's indigenous to America.
That's true, yeah, that's a fact. Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
So jazz, you're saying started in the 20s, correct?
No, it started before that,
But that's when
that's really when it took off.
It took an identity of itself. In your personal opinion, to your knowledge, jazz is a culmination of any other different types of music, of what, or is it not?
Well, as I
It's just all on
said,
its
it
own?
started in New Orleans
Started in New Orleans.
in the late 1800s.
Okay.
Hey, can you
And-
fix that mic for her, please?
Yeah, and it was sort of a combination of blues and the street music, gospel, and there was a sound that grew out of that evolved into traditional jazz. And there's so many different types of jazz.
Yeah, true. What about the influence of the Caribbeans?
You find that.
Yeah, was that in the beginning stages as well?
Yeah, particularly in some of the New Orleans.
In
jazz.
New Orleans, yeah. That's why I asked, yeah, because you said it started in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Now you said that everything after 1940 you don't really pay attention to, right?
Well, I won't say I don't pay attention to it, but it after 40 it got into sort of bebop.
Okay.
Bebop. Then you got your rock and roll era,
Okay.
And then beyond that,
But what about the jazz music that was still being made?
well, it started transitioning into a more modern form.
So do you feel
And
like it was being
progressive.
recycled? The golden age was being recycled into bringing it up to age in the 50s, 60s, 70s?
It started to take on its own personality at that point.
Yeah.
It started to take
The
on its own
drummers asked
personality.
her about her favorite drummer.
All right, so yeah, let's get back to your favorite
How
drummer.
far back do you want me to go?
Well, in your era, obviously, in your favorite era, because I can say my favorite era of music was the mid '90s. So if you were to ask me about my favorite drummer, I'd speak about somebody in the mid '90s.
And like KBJ, right?
KPJ.
All right, during the 20s, let me name 3 or 4
Okay.
really great ones that were like rock stars during their time. One was Chauncey Morehouse, and I have the distinct pleasure of knowing his granddaughter personally.
Oh, that's cool.
One was Tony Sabarbaro, and he played with the original Dixieland Jazz Band, but he was called Tony Spargo sometimes. Then there was Vic Burton and Warren Baby Dodds. He was great too. Now, those are just a few from the 20s.
DJ, who's your favorite drummers?
Who's my
Please say it.
favorite all-time drummer?
Yeah.
My favorite all-time drummer was a guy who started in the 20s but came to prominence in the 30s and became a very famous band leader. And before I tell you who he was, I'm going to give you a clue and see if any of you can guess. He was the one that's credited with discovering the great Ella Fitzgerald, and she sang with his band.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you, man. Anybody else know?
Chick Webb.
That's because I told you.
I
Yeah.
know the answer.
William Henry Chick Webb.
Chick Webb.
Okay.
Chick
So Chick
Webb.
Webb, he had something physically. What was his thing?
Well, Chick Webb was born in Baltimore around, his birthday was February 10th, but they're not quite sure of the year. They think it was around
so
1905.
what was his?
05. Very poor African American family. And there are 2 stories about what happened to him physically. He was either dropped when he was a baby, which broke a lot of the vertebrae in his back, or he was born with spinal tuberculosis. Anyway, it caused him, which in modern day terms we would call, he was a hunchback.
Oh, okay.
So his full height as an adult was like about 4 foot 1 inch, 4 feet 1 inch. And the doctors told his parents that perhaps drumming would help strengthen his limbs,
Oh, that's a cool thing.
strengthen his limbs. But they were too poor to buy this little fella a set of drums. And this brings tears to my eyes. So this little boy went out on the cold streets of Baltimore and sold newspapers to get his first secondhand set of drums. But in the meantime, he was playing on pots and pans and trash can lids and anything else you could find. He got his first paying job at the age of 11. Then as a teenager, he was playing up and down the boats in the Chesapeake. And sometime around 17 or 18, he went to New York and started playing at clubs in Harlem. And Duke Ellington heard him and was just blown away with the way he played. And he said, Chick, I think you ought to establish a band of your own. Well, at first he was reluctant to do so, but he did. He formed a small group initially called the Harlem Stompers. And as their fame grew, this grew into a full-fledged orchestra, and that's when Ella Fitzgerald came aboard, but that's another story for another time.
Yeah, I got to take a quick break.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop you. I've got to take a quick break for PSAs. But I'd like to say that she brought up some great points because we're talking about, last week we were talking about Black History Month and its relevance. And you just brought up some great points because I don't know about Chick Webb. I've never heard of him. But obviously,
now.
yeah, exactly. And we should know about him, especially in the month of February. You said he was born February 10th. So we should know about him. And then you brought up something else. You said that he didn't have money for drums and he was playing on pots and pans and trash cans and stuff. And today, or in the 90s, you know, people were doing that in DC and that became go-go music. So it's still relevant. So, you know, what you were saying is true. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's recycled. It's all recycled. It comes back.
Comes back to the jazz.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
This is On Beat with OHLOW, and we'll be right back. Peace.
We are WEBR, Fairfax County's public access and internet radio station.
Peace, peace. This is DJ OHLOW. You're tuned into On Beat with OHLOW, coming to you live from Radio Fairfax. That's WEBR Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. And we're sitting here talking about respect. And during the break here, actually, we just figured out that DJ was Betta's counselor in high school. She said, take off your glasses so I can see your eyes. But we're sitting here talking about, Miss DJ was telling us about, you know, the origins of jazz music. And it's funny that she brought it all together. And she was telling us about Chick Webb and how the origins of go-go come from the origins of jazz. And that's what we were talking about before, how the origins of everything after the 40s basically come from jazz music. And like you said, jazz is it the only music? No, it's not the only. It's the first genre of music, right, in America, that was brought about in America? Like the first categorized American music was jazz music. Is that a fact?
Well, in terms of an art form, jazz is America's contribution to the world. Now, I don't say there have been no others.
Okay.
But it's a true art form in terms of the world of music.
The first.
It was America's contribution.
Yeah.
America's big contribution in terms of music.
Yeah, true. And, you know, I mean, growing up, I played saxophone and I listened to jazz music. And it might not have been 20s, 30s jazz. That's why I asked you, because I actually grew up on like 50s, 60s, or actually 60s and 70s jazz, really. Yeah. And that was some of my favorite music, and it still is, to tell you the truth. And that's why I asked you, because you said, you know, everything after the 40s, you kind of, you know, your genre, you said your time was before the 50s.
Well, let me put it this way. Not necessarily my age, because all of this was 2 generations before me.
Yeah, I understand.
But after the 50s, when you get away from the traditional jazz, what's called traditional jazz, you get into bebop and some of the other. You use the word recycle.
Yeah.
I use the word you're transitioning into a different type. So that today, some of what is passing for jazz, to my ear, is foreign.
Okay.
Based on what was jazz of 90 years ago.
Yeah.
90 years. Like when I went to KPJ's concert at Blues Alley recently, the type of jazz they were playing is 180 degrees different from what one might have heard 90 years ago.
Yeah.
From people like Big Spiderback, the Wolverines, that group, you know, so on.
Yeah, I personally don't know, but I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I don't know that much about jazz. KPJ tells me a lot about jazz. Theory tells me a lot about jazz. Theory's actually a producer. I'm playing all Theory beats in the background. All the beats that you hear are actually produced by him.
Oh,
and
cool.
I always tell him
you.
that.
I appreciate that from a pro like you, Kev. No question, man. You really get it in. It's the difference and the polish that you see, you know, that people like Kev bring to the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And
if
you haven't seen the videos, if you'd like to, you need to get to beatconductors.com and check that out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what I was saying is that you have, I can hear a jazz influence in your music as well.
I feel like for sure, it's just all sorts of music that should serve to inspire everyone, and to be honest, like my introduction to jazz was 90s hip hop, like Tribe, it brought the whole vibe to me. I'm like, what are the sources of these things? And then, it's just such an expansive library. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your feet dirty. I mean, you can do it any way you like, pick a label and just explore,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, pick a jazz label.
pick a label.
You can always pick a jazz label and just explore, and there was so much.
That's right. Blue Note, for example.
Exactly.
Original, reissue, it doesn't really matter. You're going to stumble on some genius.
And then there's also people, like, I believe it was, I want to say it was Madlib, that did the Blue Note mixtape.
Oh, man. I wish they could have hired me for that. Yeah, they let him mine the archives and just the work he put out. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
That's jazz is just such an expression. I like to I feel like I bring that, try to bring expression through my interpretation of what music is.
Yeah, exactly.
I make a study, Kev, of what I like about what I like. And so it comes right down to how that guitar is plucked.
So you play guitar then?
I play what I can get my hands on. I'm one of those guys. It's just I just go by feel, Good. And the touch of it all is the expression. And like jazz is absolutely the jump off point.
Feeling.
You're trying to figure it out. The feeling is all right there.
And it has such a sophisticated feeling.
It's the mastery of the instrument. Bang, there it is right there. If people shun what you're doing out there, you're making your music in your basement and you feel like it, the greatest thing ever. Do yourself a favor and listen to masters of what you're emulating.
Yeah,
and then take that as a measure of what you're doing. Please.
True.
Good, man. I like it.
It's respect.
That's it. Respect.
Yeah, I'm gonna you know what? CC Vibes. I keep skipping over you, but I definitely want to talk to you because I've been wanting to ask you about this.
Go ahead, shoot.
MS.
Yes.
What does it mean, first of all?
MS is multiple sclerosis.
And tell us, what is multiple sclerosis?
Multiple sclerosis is where your white blood cells attack against your body. So it attacks against your nervous system, and your nervous system controls everything that you do on a day-to-day basis. Every organ function, every thought, everything you hear, everything you do is controlled by your nervous system, and your white blood cells are attacking against it. And there's like a covering that covers your nerve stem, and it starts to eat away. Your white blood starts to eat away at your nerve cells, and so it creates a blockage. So you can't function like everybody else.
And so what does one do if one suffers of MS? What does one do to, first of all, is it something that's curable?
No.
And it's something you have to live with?
Every single day for the rest of your life until they come with a cure.
How does one live with it?
Optimism.
Yeah, I mean, okay, besides, I mean, that's life, man. I hope that everybody lives with optimism in their life.
That's a choice. It's a choice because I could either wake up every day and be mad.
And be mad about it.
And not do anything about it. Or I could change my life and eat better and exercise and become one with my soul, with the inside of me, because my garden is the
KPJ has a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you know if you have MS?
How do you know? There's so many different symptoms that can come about. Like I said, it's your nervous system. So like my first things was my knees and my legs. When I was a little kid, I always used to have issues with my knees and my legs, and I never knew. My mom and them never knew. And then I was always in all the slow classes. So I didn't, in high school, in elementary and middle.
Hold on.
Nah, serious.
You weren't in slow classes.
No, that was,
you were in learning disability.
Learning disability.
LD, let's say it right, man.
Okay, learning
Special
disability.
education.
Special education classes. I
Poor
was
kids,
in those.
man.
The short bus?
No, well, I could have fit on the short bus. But anyway, but I knew that I had some type of learning disability, and it was proven that I had it. But I was growing up, so they never really diagnosed me or really looked for anything else. So
you grew up in the 80s?
I grew up in the 80s, yeah.
I mean, there wasn't much back then.
No.
It was just...
Especially for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
They just thought I was
There's
special.
more now. Like, there's more diagnosis today, but...
And actually, jazz music and music in general helped me get through a lot of the hard times that I've had in my life. So when I got into high school, I really started to see that I had some more issues going on learning. And then when I graduated from high school, I furthered my education in healing. And then that's when I got really sick and I lost my vision. and I lost my vision in my left eye. And then I've had almost every symptom that MS can give you, unfortunately. And it's made me stop work, lose my job, and lose my housing situation. It's brought me through a humble full circle of loving and appreciate life for what it is and in every single moment that you live. Because tomorrow's not promised, and your past doesn't really matter, because you only need to focus on right now to make yourself as healthy as you can be at this moment.
True.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So your music is, you're a singer, right?
Yes.
So you're reflecting on your past. Your music today is what? Reflection of all of that you just said?
It's a mixture, yeah. It's a mixture of, it's more, music to me is more something that helps me release a lot of the tension. When I sing, it may not even say what I'm feeling, but just the singing in general, the vibration of being able to get that suppressed anger that I have for what's going on my day-to-day, which I don't show, because I'm always smiling, I'm always happy, and I'm always spreading as much kindness as possible. So when I do sing and I am on stage, I try to let it out as deeply as I can through
That's
my music.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome, man.
Even if it's not words, because sometimes my music isn't words. When I first met DJ OHLOW and the beat conductors, I was on stage scatting to some of their beats that they were playing, and they were just like, who is this chick on stage right now? And then this is the future.
And even that night, actually, the first time I met you, the person who was playing that night had a really jazzy feel.
Yeah.
Vietnamese Express. He likes Vietnamese jazz. I don't know what you guys know about Vietnamese jazz, but he loves Vietnamese jazz. I'm gonna take a quick break though. I gotta take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We're talking about jazz. We're talking about respect. We were talking about Black History Month, and I'm gonna come back to that too. Because you are a historian as well, and I want to ask you about Black History Month and your thoughts about it. We're talking about KPJ. I want to come back and talk to you about your show that you just had in DC at Blues Alley. And we have a track, actually. You got a live track, right?
Yes, live track.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to play
back
that
in
track.
Sacramento, we got a live track.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to try to get to that one as well. That's that one in Sacramento. I saw the CD. It said 1979.
Yeah, July 4th or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
You just play a snippet. No.
All right, cool. Yeah, definitely. This is On Beat. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Peace.
Keeping the First Amendment alive. We are WEBR, Fairfax County's cable access and internet radio station.
Peace. This is DJ OHLOW coming to you live from Radio Fairfax here in Fairfax, VA. All beats provided by Theory. Thanks again for all these beats, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks for listening to Fairfax. You know, we got the heaters coming at you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Today we're talking about a few things, man. The original topic today was respect. Obviously, we're paying respect to everybody in this room, man. Paying respect to my man Theory, my favorite producer. Respect for what you said last week on this show, too.
Thank you, sir.
At the very end, if you know what I'm talking about. When you shut it down, you were like,
well, I had to. I had to. There's no question. You know, respect to everybody in the room. Yeah. But there's no producer going to come out with a project that's going to make me quit making music.
That's what I'm saying.
And go get a job at Kmart. You can't do it.
At Wendy's.
At Wendy's. You can do it. Not Wendy's, none of that.
Exactly.
And they all know it.
Yes, sir, man.
But, man, thank you so much for the history lesson today as well. You know, it's always wonderful to hear things that we hadn't heard before and a bird's eye perspective of it all. Thank you.
Yes,
my pleasure.
DJ.
My pleasure.
And I still have a question for you as well, because I want to go back to Black History. We're talking about Black History Month, and we were talking about the relevance of Black history, if it holds value today, like it did 25 years ago. And I wanted to ask, before we did research and we found out that Black History Month actually came to be in the late 70s. I think it was 76 or 77. So before 75, before there was a Black History Month, and you said that jazz music, there was a lot of influence by African Americans. Do you feel that Black History Month is missing a lot of the great leaders in, not just musically, but in all different aspects of the world? Do you think a lot of them are missing from Black History Month? A lot of the great people that we don't talk about, that aren't subjects in school, or there's a lot of commercials now about people. I saw a lot more commercials this year than I've ever seen about Black History Month, and they always talk about somebody. But do you feel like there's people missing, or do you feel like they're doing a pretty good job at getting a lot of the people that we should show respect to?
Well, that depends. Because today's generation of young people did not know the struggles that former generations went through. What it was like to grow up in the segregated South, and even the prejudice in the North. And so, yes, it's something that should be a work in progress. You use the word respect. We should have respect for every human being on the face of this planet, irregardless of gender, creed, color, whatever. And by the way, it's now March. And we've passed from Black History Month chronologically into Women's History Month. And I'd like to remind all of you of that.
Yeah.
I mean, all the great women out there.
Yes.
Who've been overlooked.
My mom.
Overlooked.
I need a beat there. Oh, there it goes.
Overlooked. And they deserve our respect too.
True. Definitely, yeah.
100%.
And that's why we have these two beautiful women here today.
Thank you.
Obviously. Yeah, definitely.
But, yeah. I mean, you see commercials sometimes on TV or hear them on the radio for Black History Month. But when was the last time you saw one for Women's History Month?
True.
And that's all women. That's not just saying.
Yeah, we're not just talking about certain groups. We're talking about all women. Or other ethnic groups, Hispanics, Asians, they're sort of out there, but we're not focusing perhaps as much as we should. But at the same time, I don't think we should single out any particular group.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what everyone else was saying too. I think we all agree to that. But I wanted to ask you another question now. Do you think it's because it's a commercial thing and it's commercially right, I guess, because they can make money off it? The corporations can make money off of Black History Month.
They can, perhaps. But is it right? I don't think so.
True.
I don't think any group, if you want to show true respect, should be exploited.
That's a good word. That's something we never said.
I definitely
exploited, man. That's
I feel
true.
that way too, and it's MS Awareness Month, so.
Marches.
Marches.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And how many people knew that?
Probably.
There's 17 more people that know it today.
There's a lot more than 17.
I was just saying, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, see?
But it's exploited because people want to buy T-shirts, people want to buy wristbands, people want to buy water bottles, people want to race and buy fruit that has MS awareness on it. Like, to me, it should be 100% nonprofit, because when something is represented for health and for moving forward with something, I don't think you should have to pay for it at all, especially if you are the person that is suffering from it.
True.
Like, or have suffered in order to make a change, or had to go through something very serious in order to make a change, or inventing something and people acknowledging that it's invented by you. You had to go through something in order for it to become beautiful and out there for other people to use. So I don't think in some points, you should have to pay for some things, and given charity donations is cool. But when you start putting a price tag on a $30 T-shirt that says "Fight for MS," I think it's useless.
Well, who gets that money? That's my question.
That's another
That's
problem.
the whole thing.
That's another problem I have a little bit too, because if I believe in the drug companies, but a lot of the times there's cures out here. There is cures out here for us now.
Natural cures.
Natural
like
cures.
You said, exercise.
Diet and exercise. If they exploited more on eating more organically and nutrition and growing your own food and getting your hands dirty and actually knowing how to eat the right things, then which is a lot more nowadays. People are a lot more green nowadays. So I believe it's out there.
Going green is a big trend right now.
I hope it's not a trend. I hope it's not a fad. I hope people, I pray that people continue to see what it is. What you put in your body is what your body runs off of. Your body is the garden of your soul. So if you're able to nourish your garden, then your garden's going to grow beautifully and your grass is going to be beautiful. And you don't have to go nowhere else for anything. You know exactly what to put in your body for your soul to be beautiful. So Women's Appreciation, MS awareness. Last month was if you have a child that has issues with their heart and they're born with heart complications. That was last month.
True, yeah.
Who knew about that? I didn't know about it until I read up on Mr. Forge. He has a son. That's a beautiful son. And that's how I knew Miracle Child through there that was represented.
Shouts out to the
and through your
family.
shows here today. That's how we know through the DJ OHLOW show.
Exactly.
I mean, we're all learning. That's why we're here today, to help others learn, the truth.
Exactly.
And things. So
there's so many represented months and things that are represented in the months that do get overlooked and fall into the fold of life and just get overlooked. And I'm glad that we're here to bring awareness and
that's the key word.
Let people know that the respect is out there for women, for anybody, any person under the sun. We have respect for, and as long as you bring kindness to it, we're just gonna prosper.
Those are great words. On that note,
kindness.
KPJ, I'm gonna take a quick break, but I want to play your track real quick. I want to play a track from your show in DC at Blues Alley. Can you line it up for us?
All right. This is KPJ.
Can you move up a little bit?
This is KPJ All-Star Band live from Blues Alley, DC. Check it out.
Here we go. We'll be right back. Peace. KPJ, tell us about this track, man. I'm gonna play it in the background. I'm gonna keep it going, but tell us about this track, man. Tell us about the people who were playing.
Yeah, man. Jeff Lorber on keyboards right there. So you can hear that. Turn up the music a little bit. Yeah. Jeff Lorber, check it out.
Heavyweight.
Yeah, we sold out every night except Sunday night 10 p.m. show.
You had 4 shows at Blues Alley.
Yeah. Jeff Lorber, man, he's killing it. He killed it. KPJ on drums. Shake and Doy on bass. DJ was at that show.
Yeah, look, we only have about 5 minutes left. Can I just play this in the background?
Yeah, man.
I just let it rock? Yeah, I'm gonna let it rock, man. I'm gonna just take this time to allow everybody to give their shout outs and to plug in your websites, your Twitters and things like that. And I'll start with you, KBJ, since we're playing this track right here. If people wanted to find you, if people were looking for your music, your videos, your biography, whatever you have up there, man, what do you have up there? Drum lessons.
We got drum lessons. We got KevinPeterJones.com. We got Kevin Peter Jones on Facebook. You can check out Twitter. We got, you can email me at KevinPeterJones@yahoo.com.
Cool.
And I'll answer all your questions. And we have T-shirts too.
Oh, you can't talk about that, man.
Oh,
you
no,
talk
I'm sorry about that.
Stuff,
oh, yeah.
Forgot about that.
Access. Sorry about that.
I'm going to have to edit that one, man.
Edit that, man.
Cool. But thanks again for coming out. Thank you for bringing Miss DJ.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out and sharing your knowledge of music and your knowledge of the world, really. Can you pass her a mic real quick? She doesn't have a mic over here.
Well, it was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you again for coming out. And if people wanted to find you, do you have any social media links?
I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
But I'm there under the name of Dixie, Dixie Melquist, Melquist.
Okay.
And they can also get a hold of KPJ, Kevin Peter Jones, and he can get in touch with me.
Perfect.
I have an email address, but
well, you don't have to give.
It's a little complicated.
Yeah, you don't
to
have
give
to give all that
air,
out. Yeah. If people want to get in contact with you, they'll find you through Facebook.
Or
that's probably the best way. Yeah. Email is a little personal, so if you wanted to get in contact with someone else, if they contact you through Facebook, then you can give out your email.
Sure.
That's the way to do it. But again, thank you for coming out. I'd love to have you out again to talk to you about.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll have to do that again. To your left, your former student over here. Was he a good kid or was he a bad kid in high school?
He was a great young man.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, he wasn't my student. He was my counselee.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to think that maybe something I said made a difference, because look how he turned out.
Yeah.
Look how he turned out.
I appreciate you being my counselor. She did look out. It was a couple people at Chantilly that you could tell really cared, and she was one of them. So it's wonderful that we ran into each other today. As soon as you walked in, I'm looking at your face. I'm like, I know this lady from somewhere. I was trying to ask her where she was from. KBJ was like, yo, OHLOW is the question, man. Don't answer any of his questions. But then she came back, and then she responded to me, and then she found out what my real name was. I took my glasses off, and then she recognized me, and then it all.
We've seen each other in about 16,
about 16, 17 years.
And that's been a long time, because
I haven't seen you since the 1900s.
he was a teenager then.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a grown man now.
Yeah.
You know.
He's a father now.
Yeah,
he's a grown man.
Pictures of his children. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wonderful seeing. This is L Better.
And if people wanted to find you, how can they find you?
Just Google that. Just at Lord Better, LORDBETTA. Check me out if you like to on beatconductors.com, and we out here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna swing it to the right over here to Miss CC Vibes, man. I wanted to thank you again for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
And talking about MS. I wanted you to come out and talk about MS because I really don't know too much about it. And before we leave, the thing about MS is that a lot of people think that people who have MS have, like their hands are disfigured. You know what I mean? Because it happens to some people. Their hands get disfigured, or they can't control themselves. They have the shakes. Or a lot of people who have MS can't speak right. They have speech impediments and things like that. But when people meet you, you would never think that you have any of these symptoms.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
When I park in the handicapped parking spot, sometimes they see me get out of the car and they just glare at me like, no, you didn't. And I'm like, I got handicapped plates. What are you talking about? I'm saving you a parking spot out there.
Yeah, true. That's what's up. And I know you have on March 14th.
Yes, I have a March 14th charity event for the Greater Washington and the Boys and Girls Club. I give a lot of support out to them because I was raised in a Boys and Girls Club, and one of my closest mentors actually died there. So anytime I give a tribute, I tribute out to him, and his name is Mr. Marshall. I love you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Just real quick, DJ OHLOW.
KPJ.
I just want to thank you, man, for all your support.
Oh, thank you,
for the
man.
KPJ brand, Kevin Peter Jones. You've been an awesome friend and an asset, and just Thank you so
Thanks,
much, man. I just want to
appreciate
tell
it,
you that.
KPJ.
brother.
Yeah, thank you as well, man. You know, it's likewise, man. You know what I mean?
You've been with me, man, all the way. Los Angeles, everything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about NAM, man. I wanted to talk a little bit more about NAM, and I wanted to talk about. We're doing a product review. Obviously, we're not gonna be able to do it here, but it's gonna be on BeatConductors.com with my man Theory.
That's right, a new product introduced to NAM from Alesis, a great controller called the Vortex.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about a little
And
creativity.
if people wanted to find it, they can find it on the Beat Conductors website.
That's right. Come to us at beatconductors.com.
Definitely.
Look for the best thing on there.
And real quick, man,
there
if
it
people wanted to
is.
find you online, Theory.
That's right, me and the crew, if you'd like to, thepackage.bandcamp.com. And for my solo endeavors, the beats that you need, the goods that you need, if you'd like to, theorybeats.bandcamp.com.
That's what's up, man. Our time is up. Obviously, the music is over.
Keeping
too. I
the
wanna
First
thank you,
Amendment
KPJ,
alive. We are WEBR, Fairfax County's cable access and internet radio station.